Hello, welcome back. Today for our math lesson we're going to be looking at surface area. But before we start, have a go at this quick starter. Can you work out the area of each of the four shapes below? Don't forget the units. Okay, so what is surface area? Think about that cube there, that green cube on the board. If I unfolded this cube, what do you think it would look like? Take a minute to just pause the video and see if you can draw what it would look like if we unfolded it all and laid it flat. So what we call those things are nets, and you can see a few of those there on the board on your screen. This is the net of a cube. We can see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. And they're joined in a particular way so that when we folded them back together it would form a cube. Wow, how is that important? Well, we're looking at surface area. So looking at the surface area of that cube, we drew that net. Surface area is the total area across each surface. Think about it like we have unfolding it or using it as trying to use wrapping paper to wrap that cube up. The amount of wrapping paper we would need would be to cover that whole surface. So we work out surface area by adding up the area of each face of the shape. So how do we find the surface area of a cube? Well, we just saw that surface area was all the sides, every side added up together. Added up. So I'm going to have a look at this cube here, find each side area and add them all together, and that should give me my surface area. Okay, so let's have a look at this first side here, this red side. It's a square, so I'm going to use base times height. The base is 5 and the height is 5, so that's going to give me 25 centimeters squared. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the next side I can see. I'm going to go for this one on the right hand side. Put a little green dot here. Well, what length is this going to be? Well, a cube, remember, is the 3D version of a square. So all the sides are the same. So I'm going to quickly label every single side with the length 5 centimeters because it's a cube. So the area of this side here is also going to be base times height. And it's going to be 5 times 5 as well, which again gives me 25 centimeters squared. The other face I can see is that one at the top of the cube here, where that blue dot is. And that's also going to be a square, so base times height. It also has the length 5 times 5, so it also has an area of 25 centimeters squared. Looking back at the formula, surface area is every side added up. Well, every side I can see I've found out the area. Is it right just to add those up? Well, no, we do need to remember that this is a 3D shape, so there's actually a side where my arrow is pointing to, which we can't quite see on this drawing. There's also a side at the back here that we can't see on the drawing, but we know is there, and also the one on the bottom there that we can't quite see, but we know is there. If you think about a dice, it's got 6 sides, we just can't always see every side at the same time. We noticed that each side was 25 centimeters squared, 25 centimeters squared. So all the sides are the same, and there's 6 sides altogether. There's 6 faces. So if we have 6 faces and each face is 25 centimeters squared, surely I can add that up 6 times and that would be my answer. So if I have 1 face there, 2 faces, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 faces, all the same size, all 25 centimeters squared. So the surface area is all of them added up together. So I could do that, but there is also a quicker way. 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 is the same as 25 times by 6. So both of these will give you the same answer. which should be 150 centimetres squared. So I found the area of each of the sides I could see. Luckily for a cube, they are all the same size. Remembering there's 6 faces, so 25 times 6, and that gave me my answer. Remember, surface area, so we've got centimetres squared, that's that unit. I've done that example on the left. Can you have a go at the one on the right? So just pause the video and have a go at that yourself. Okay, let's go through the answer. So this first face here, that's the first thing we're going to do, isn't it? Find the area of the faces. Base times height, 7 times 7, 49 centimetres squared. Well, I'm not going to waste my time working out each and every one because I know each side is 7 centimetres. It's a cube, so every single side length is the same. So I know whatever one face is, that's going to be the same as that face there. That's going to be the same as that face there. And let's not forget the faces we can't see. There's one on the bottom, which will also be 49. There's one at the back, which will also be 49, and then there's one on this left hand side here, which will also be 49. So our surface area should be 49 added together, every single side. There's 6 sides, and they're all going to be 49 centimetres squared. So if I add all of those up together, that should give my surface area. Remember, 49 added together 6 times is the same as 49 times by 6. So you can use a calculator to work that out. And we should get 294. Let's not forget the units. It's an area, so centimetres squared. Okay, so we saw how to work out the surface area of a cube, and that was quite easy because every single side of that cube is the same. All the sides are the same, therefore all the areas of the faces are the same. Now we're moving on to cuboids. We've got to notice that, for example, this side here on the end is a lot smaller than that front face here. Okay, so we need to be really careful when we get to that, because we can't just find one face and times it by how many sides, because they're all going to be different. Let's just notice first of all the different types of faces. Okay, well, first of all, we've got this front face there. I'm going to have that one in red. I'm just going to draw it out on this side here. And this length is 5 and this length is 10. So that's one of the faces. What other one can I see? Well, I'm going to go in green, this one on this side here. This length along the bottom is 4, but what's this height here? Well, looking over to this side here, it's going to be the same as that, isn't it? It's going to be 5 centimetres. So I can see that face as well. The other face I can see is this one on the top here. So I'm going to draw that one as well. And what are the distances? Well, going across this way here, that's also going to be 10 centimetres. So I'm going to add that to my diagram. And what's this length here going to be? That's the same as down below, that's 4 centimetres. So those are our 3 different types of faces, but a cuboid has 6 faces, doesn't it? Well, let's have a look. This red one at the front, which is 10 by 5 here, that's going to be exactly the same as the one that's on the back, so we're going to have 2 lots of this face. The green one here on the right hand side, which we wrote was 5 by 4, well, that's going to be the same as this face here that we can't see, so we've got 2 lots of the green face. Finally, the dark blue one, which we did as the top of the cuboid, that's going to be the same as the bottom of the cuboid, which we can't see, so we've got 2 dark blue faces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the area of each face and add them all together. So what's the area of the red face? Well, let's remember it's a rectangle, so we know we've got to do base times by the height. The base is 10, the height is 5, so we've got 50 centimetres squared for the red face. One red face is 50 centimetres squared. However, remembering this bit here, we have 2 of those red faces. So in order to find the area of all of the red faces, we need to double it or add 2 lots of 50. So that's going to be 100, isn't it? So the 2 red faces, we get a total of 100 centimeters squared. Let's move on to the dark green. Well, it's a square, so it's not square, sorry, it's a rectangle. 5 times by 4, the base times by the height, and that's going to give me 20 centimeters squared. Let's not forget though, we've got 2 of those green faces, so I need to add 20 plus 20, or 20 times 2, so the total of the green faces is 40 centimeters squared. Final side. Base times height is still a rectangle. 4 times by 10, that gives me 40 centimeters squared. So one of those dark blue faces is 40 centimeters squared. I've got 2 lots of them, so I need to double it, 80 centimeters squared. I've found the red faces, how much they add up to. I've had the green ones and the dark blue. I need to finally, if I want the full surface area, I just need to add all of those numbers together. So we're going to add 100 plus 40 plus 80, and that's going to give me my overall answer, 220 centimeters squared. So that was a bit lengthy, but all we did was we recognized what different faces we had. We had 3 different types. We found out how many of each of them there were. Luckily, there was 2 of each. We worked out the area, and then we doubled each one because there was 2 sides of that, and finally added them all together to get our surface area. Okay, very, very similar example. Can you have a go at this one, then we'll go through the answer together. Okay, let's give it a go. So again, we've got a cuboid. So the first face is this red one that I'm colouring in. Put in the dimensions, 8 centimeters along the bottom, 5 centimeters as the height. Next, I'm going for the dark green side, this one coloured in there. And the base going along the bottom is 2 centimeters. And the height doesn't give it exactly next to it, but we look over to this side here, it's going to be the same as the height throughout, 5 centimeters there. Last one is the top side there, this purple one. What are the dimensions of that purple face? Well, going from one end to the other, it's going to be the same as down here, 8 centimeters. And the height of this one here is this diagonal line going there. Well, that's going to be the same as this side here, which is going to be the same as this side here, so that's 2 centimeters. I've recognised that each of those faces there have got 2 lots of them. The red one has got this front side and the back, so whatever I find the area, I'm going to have to times it by 2. The green side also has 2 of them, one on the right here, one on the left there, so times that one by 2. And the purple one has both the top of the shape and the bottom of the shape, so all of them have 2 lots of that side. Okay, red side. Let's work out the area, then add them all together. We know we've got to do base times by the height. The base is 8, the height is 5, so altogether that's 48 times 5. So we know that one of those red rectangles is 40 centimeters squared. I want 2 of them, so that's going to be 40 plus 40, or 40 times 2, it will give us the same answer. That's going to be 80 centimeters squared. The green shape, the smaller sort of shape, we've got base times by the height. Base is 2, the height is 5. That's going to give me 10. So one lot of that side there's 10 centimeters squared, but I've got to double it because there's 2 sides which are the same shape as the green one. So 10 plus 10, or 10 times 2. The green sides add up to 20 centimeters squared. The purple shape, again, we've got base times height. 2 times 8, 16 centimeters squared is one of those faces, but we've got 2 of the purple type, the top and the bottom of the cuboid, so I've got to times by 2. 32 centimetres squared. That's not it though. Remember the last bit, full surface area, is all of those added up. So 80 plus 20 plus 32. You can use column method, you can use a calculator. I'm going to have 2 here, 8, 9, 10, 13. So my total is 132 centimetres squared. Don't forget the units. Okay, so now we're going to go on to your turn, so a few questions, but I'm going to give you an example of what this question may look like. We've got to do odd one out. Look at each row. So in this row I've got cuboid 1, cuboid 2, cuboid 3. And I've got to work out which one is the odd one out, looking at its surface area. So what I'm going to do is work out the surface area of each of those shapes and then find out which one is the odd one out. So here I've worked out the surface area of each of them. For number 1 I got 120, number 2 I got 66, number 3 I got 120. So the one that is the odd one out is number 2 because it had a different surface area to 1 and 3. So I just highlight that one, I'll just write the correct letter, and that would be my answer. So here's your turn. If you are going to be doing the bronze questions, do question 1 and 2. If you're going to do silver questions, you're going to have a go at question 3 and 4. And if you're going to do gold questions, you're going to do question 4 and 5. So pause the video now and have a go at those. Now use this slide just to mark your answers. So the ones highlighted are the odd ones out. And in red in the bottom corner is the surface area you should have got for each of them. Okay, so a final challenge for any of you who are wanting a little bit of a trickier problem. We've got that cuboid here, and you need to tell me what this missing length is, so that when you add up all the sides and find the surface area, your answer is 82. So pause the video now and have a go at that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this one. This was the cuboid that was in the top left-hand corner. So instead of using a question mark, we're going to put X. So this again is using algebra. We can see over the past few lessons how algebra can help us solve these problems. Let's go about as we would normally. We find the surface area by adding all of the sides together. So adding all the area of each side. So we're going to find the area of each side, add them together, and we know that's going to have to be 82 because that's what we want it to be. So we know that the areas of each side added together have got to give us 82 in order to hit our target. So let's work out the area of each side to start off with. This face here, I'm going to call it the green face. Base times by the height. The base is 6, the height is 1, so that one, quite straightforward, is 6. Haven't been given a unit, but that doesn't matter. If they don't give you a unit, we can't give a unit as our answer. So we know that area of the front face is 6. Let's have a look at the side on the right, this one here. Base times height. Well, we've got a bit of a problem here because one of the sides is X. Instead of worrying about that, for the minute I'm just going to fill this formula in. So the base is that bottom bit X, and the height is 1. Well, what's X times 1 or 1 times X? Well, that's just 1X, or we could just call it X. So I know that the area of this face here is just going to be that value X. So I've got the front face being 6, the side face being X. Now let's have a look at the top face. The base times height again. The base is this long edge there, which is 6. And the height is this diagonal height here, which is that unknown letter that we don't know, X. What's 6 times X? Well, we don't write a times sign in algebra, so we just put them together, 6X. Okay, but we've worked out 3 sides there, but a cuboid actually has 6 sides, doesn't it? We've got we'll have 2 lots of this 6, we'll have 2 lots of this 6x, and we'll have 2 lots of that x because they've each got a side, 2 lots of each face. So let's add all of these together. So this side here that has 6, there's the one at the front and there's the one at the back. So we've got 6 plus 6. This top face here, we've got the one at the top, which is 6x, and the one on the bottom will also be 6x. So let's add those together. Then we've got the 2 final sides. We've got this right hand side, which we worked out was x, and that will be exactly the same as the side which we can't see hidden back here, which will also be x. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Good, so I know I've got all of them, and that would equal our surface area, adding all the sides up. Well, in the question it says that the target surface area that we need to get is 82. So instead of writing surface area there, let's rub that out, I'm going to actually say, well, we know all those sides added up have got to equal 82. Let's make this left-hand side look a little bit nicer. 6 plus 6 gives me 12. Then I've got 6x plus 6x plus x plus x. That's a lot of x's, isn't it? So I've got 6 here. Add another 6, that's 12. Add another 1 is 13. And another one is 14. So I've actually got 12 plus 14 lots of x, and that's got to equal that 82. So we can see now we're left with an algebraic equation, which is what we've looked at previously. We've got to solve it. So I'm just going to move that all the way up to here. Let's try and solve that now. Write it out again. So to solve it, we need to find what x is. So we're aiming to get by the bottom here, x equals and a number. So what am I going to do first? I want to get x on its own. So what's in the way at the minute? Well, this 12 is in the way. It's a positive 12, so I've got to do the opposite. I'm going to do negative 12, take away 12. And if I do it on one side of the equals, I have to do it on the other side of the equals. 12, take away 12 will give me 0, so I'll leave that bit blank. And I've still got 14x here. On the right, 82, take away 12, well, that's going to leave me with 70 there. So I need to do a final step to go from 14x to x. What do I need to do? Well, this 14 here is what's in the way. How do I get rid of that 14? Well, let's just remember 14x is the same as 14 times by x. So to get rid of that, we need to do the opposite. So I need to get rid of 14, so I'm going to divide by 14. This here is 14 times x. So we're doing the opposite, we're dividing by 14, and whatever I do to one side of the equals, I have to do it to the other side. So get your calculators out, or if you know it in your head, brilliant. 14 divided by 14 will give me 1, so we're just going to be left with x on this side. And 70 divided by 14 gives me an answer of 5. So we've done exactly what we've needed to do. We've found out what that x value is, and that is 5.